Welcome to another warm-up with us at TAC Performance Center. Today we're going to start off on our backs and we're going to do a bent knee windshield wiper. So we're going to start with making a fist into the ground to help brace ourselves down to the ground. Keep a fist, pinky down, thumb up. So this allows our shoulder to actually rest down to the ground. If I have a flat palm, I tend to kind of use almost too much upper body trying to kind of brace myself down. So if I do this, it allows that shoulder to relax back and we get a little more core engagement activation there. So we're going to bring the knees up to about 90-degree bend. What we're looking at is that this part of the leg is vertical to the ground. Brace through the core, hands anchored in, arms anchored into the side, and we go into letting the legs fall over to the side, bracing through the core, and then bringing it up nice and controlled, exhaling at the top, over to the other side, brace, and bring it back up to the top. You have 5 per side or 10 total. Next is going to be bridges. We're going to dig those heels into the ground, toes lifted up, arms are a little more relaxed to the side, shoulders down onto the ground. Drive the hips up to the ceiling. At the top of this move, you should be making a straight line from your shoulders all the way up into your knees. Strong glute squeeze at the top, tap the hips down, drive it right back up to that nice finish out position, tap it back down, driving it back up. You have 15 of those. Next, we're going to go into a tripod back bend. Hands will face a little bit backwards. We're going to drive the hips up towards the ceiling, release one hand, reaching it back over into a nice back bend. Drop the hips down to switch over to the other hand, driving those hips up into a solid, nice back bend and back down. You have 10 total of those. If that move is just a little bit too much through your shoulders or just too much overall, then we're going to go into a crab kick. So you'll lift your hips up a little bit off the ground, hand, opposite hand to foot, and switch. So alternating this pattern back and forth, 10 total of those. Next is going to be a side lying leg lift. Bend the lower leg as an anchor, kind of helps for the stability there. Stack the hips, stack the shoulders, arm is comfortable, place out in front, tilt the toes down, heel is aiming up towards the ceiling. This ensures that we're getting into that glute medius, which is what we're trying to activate here in this move. So you are driving that heel up towards the ceiling. You have 15 on this side, then switch over 15 on the other side. From that position, we're going to go face down, toes into the ground, hands to the side, pushing up into a down dog position. Get a nice posterior stretch, everything through the back of the calves, back of the knees, into the hamstrings, and all the way through up into the shoulder blades. You're sinking down into the shoulders, and then coming up into a COBRA pose. This is stretching out the whole front side of you. Think about stretching out through the front of the core and into the hip flexors. From there, driving back up into the down dog. If you need to adjust your feet to get a better positioning on the stretch, definitely do that. Sinking again down into between the shoulder blades, driving those hips up, and then back down into that prone cobra. You're going to go through 5 rounds of that. From this position, we're going to flip back over into the same position that we started with. Hands are going to make fists, have them anchored out to the side. This time the legs are going to draw straight up to the ceiling, driving the heels of the feet up to the ceiling. Toes will be pointed back. Legs are locked out completely. From this position, you should already feel a stretch in the back of the calves, back of the knees, and all the way into the hamstrings. Engage to the core to help keep you in place and to stabilize through the spine. As we lower one leg down, keeping this leg completely in place, let this one lower down as far as you can, and then driving it back up, lowering down the other one. If this is where my stop point is, because this hamstring is so tight that I can't lower it down anymore, then that's your stop point. Don't try to lower it down like that, okay? So the goal is to keep this one vertical at all times, lower this one down as low as it can, and then drive it back up. Next, we're going to go into a side plank thread the needle. Stack the elbow right underneath the shoulder, get up into a nice side plank. where my shoulders are stacked, my hips are stacked. Don't look down at your feet because you tend to get in this C curve. So nice and tall, lifted up out of it. Lift the hand up towards the ceiling. Let the eyes follow the hand as you go underneath, threading under your torso, and then back up to the ceiling. Try to reach as far as you can back there, keeping a nice solid plank. Don't let your body dip down as you're reaching back and then coming back to the ceiling. If that move with both feet up in the air is a little too much for you, bend that lower leg and then get yourself up into that plank position again. This helps take off some of the load. That helps for the shoulder so you're not carrying as much of the shoulder. Again, nice tall through the body and go into that thread the needle in this position. If you're feeling like a rock star and you want a bigger challenge, just go up to the hand. So stack the feet, hand out to the side, pop up into that nice side plank, hand is up at the ceiling, reach it under, and then back up to the ceiling. You have 10 of those per side. Next, we're gonna go into a plank position, low plank, elbows stacked right underneath the shoulders, head is lifted up out of your shoulders, don't get sunk in there, lift straight up out the shoulders, eyes are also looking down at your hands, don't have them looking back at your feet. Okay, from this position, you're gonna lift one leg, reach forward with the other arm, down, and then switch sides. You have got 10 total of those, 5 per side. The goal is that you are not letting your hips shift around as you transfer from side to side. Next, we are going into a lateral lunge to a balance. Keep one leg locked out, take the other leg into a nice side lunge, bring it up to a tall balance, side lunge to a tall balance. From the side, it looks like this. You shoot those hips back, so don't shoot the hip forward. You want to drive that hip backwards, come up to a nice tall balance. Knee should be even with your hip. Back into that lateral lunge, tall balance at the top. You have 5 to 10 per side of the lateral lunge. The final 2 drills we have are high knees and butt kicks. High knees, both of these drills are kind of to get our heart rate up, get our feet moving faster. On the high knees, we want to try to drive that knee up so that it is even with the hip. So it's going to be in that fashion. We're going to take it double time. You're trying to go as fast of a cadence as you can. So it's the goal is that fast foot turnover. The next drill is going to be butt kicks. You're driving those heels up towards your butt in a very fast cadence fashion. So it looks like this. The goal of both of those is to create a quick, fast foot turnover and to get that heart rate going, which mine is right now. So we have 20 per leg of each of those drills. That is your warm-up for this week. Hope you enjoy it, and we look forward to seeing you next week.